Hi there. Welcome to the Sober Circle channel. Enjoy this speaker tape.
Thanks, Don. What you see here is a program change. Brian Bivens was supposed to be here, and due to circumstances, the way things worked out, and Brian couldn't make it. Dave Cook, who was to speak this evening, called Grace Wednesday night and said that he was just too ill to make it. He could not travel. And we were actually, we're looking 2 days away from Cedar Lakes. We were fortunate enough to have heard a speaker at a place, Charlotte, North Carolina, called the Fundamental Festival, by the name of Stu B. And we were both impressed and thought he just carried a beautiful message. But we were talking about later on. And we called Stu, and he graciously agreed to, on that short notice, to be here to share his experience, strength, and hope with us this evening. And so on that note, I'd like to introduce to you Stu B. from Maryland.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stu Bramwell. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. I want to thank Al for inviting me to come here and participate this week. And when he called me, I said maybe I shouldn't be coming. I've got a lot of things going on that I've been doing a lot of listening here lately. In fact, I haven't spoken at a meeting since November. And I think sometimes God writes straight using crooked letters, and there's a reason for me to be here. And I thoroughly enjoyed this weekend. I just feel like I needed this weekend. It came at a good time. And I've been soaking up this AA and these meetings, the speakers. John picked me up and brought me up here. I got there about 8 o'clock Friday night, and I caught the meeting Friday night, and I enjoyed listening to Jerry share at the meeting, and then went over and caught the discussion meeting. I figured you're good enough to come and listen to me. I should listen to you. I had, I guess, about 100 of you shared at that meeting. We started at 11 o'clock and wrapped it up at 2 o'clock. I took a nice walk around the lake and went back, and the fireplace is going in our building, and no one's sitting in there, so I had a chance to sit by the fire and just do some thinking and meditating and getting my life a little bit better perspective about this morning. Caught the meetings today, and here I am tonight. And if you ain't bought it by now, you probably ain't going to buy it anyway with whatever I've got to say. But I enjoy coming to Alcoholics Anonymous. I love AA. Me getting sober in Alcoholics Anonymous has been the greatest thing that happened to me in my entire life. I love being sober. You don't always have to like what's coming down, but you always better be liking being sober. I love being sober. I'm also, this is my second time in AA. I'm one of these guys that, unlike some alcoholics who come in AA and get sober their first meeting, I didn't. I came to Alcoholics Anonymous in 1964 at the age of 23, right before my 24th birthday, and I used AA to get out of a lot of trouble. But I didn't stay sober, and I had to go out and do some more drinking. It took me 2 years to get back here, and I came back to Alcoholics Anonymous. My sobriety date is March 12, 1966, a day at a time. 2 more weeks, I'll have 22 years of sobriety in Alcoholics Anonymous. Almost half of my life has been around Alcoholics Anonymous. In fact, over half of my life has been around AA, and 22 years of it has been in AA. I found there's a big difference between being around AA and being in AA. It's sort of like you can go to your room tonight and pull your bed out, and you can walk around your bed all night long. You can get in and touch it, you can smell it, take a look at it. It ain't going to be nothing until you get in it. You can come around AA till you're blue in the face. You can get Mr. and Miss AA for a sponsor. You can join the group. You can go to meetings 7 nights a week. Memorize the 12 steps. Look pretty, smell nice, but if you don't stop drinking, it don't mean a damn thing. It don't mean nothing. Now, I know AA is more than just a stop-drink program. It's called the Joy of Good Living. But it's the most important thing you're ever going to do in AA. It's not drink. I've heard a friend of mine say it's very hard to have a spiritual awakening puking on a Saturday morning. Okay? But you can stay sober and awakening as a result of these 12 suggested steps, putting these principles in your life. Heard a friend of mine say one night, just coming and setting these chairs waiting to get sober is like sitting in a garage and waiting to turn into a car. Okay? It ain't going to work. You're going to have to take some action. You're going to have to make a commitment. You're going to have to do something. And when I first came to AA, I wouldn't make that commitment. Everybody was excited about me going to AA when I first came. My mother was happy. My wife was happy. The kids were happy. The bill collectors were happy. My boss was happy. Man, I don't want to be in AA. I don't want to be no alcoholic. I was in AA 1 week back in 1964 when it dawned on me that you were serious about not drinking. And I'm thinking, I got to get the hell out of here. I mean, I don't want to stop drinking. I want to stop hurting, and I want to get out of a lot of trouble, but I don't want to stop drinking. I just cannot picture a life of being in AA and being sober at this stage of the game. I used to go to meet and hear these guys say, well, I drank for 30 years. Another guy over here said, I drank for 33 years. I'm saying, do I hear 40? 41? 42? And I felt like I was 23 years of age. I didn't start drinking until I was a late bloomer. When I started drinking, I started drinking when I was about 14. And by today's standard, I see kids in AA at 14, but I didn't start till I was 14. And I felt like I got cheated. I said, damn, I wish I could have drank for 30 years or 31 years, or if I got old and I got all burnt out, that I could come to AA and just sit around here and get cobwebs on me and nothing's going to happen. And I remember an old guy took me home from a meeting when I first came in AA, and we sat there at his house on a Friday night, and we were eating ice cream with Jimmy's on top of them. And he had a pussycat listening to these old tapes. I'm 23 years old. I'm saying, damn, this is really exciting being sober, Gee. And I'm an action drunk, a street drunk, a barroom drinker. I was fascinated with the babes, the bright lights, and everything that came with drinking. I was a trashy drunk. And the trashier it was, the more I liked it. I was excited about that fast lane out there. And I thought, geez, what a waste. What a hell of a situation to help into. And I tell you what, I look for all the shortcuts, and I used AA, and I'll tell you what's neat about AA is they don't throw none of us phonies out of AA. We weed ourselves out of AA. No one said, get out of here, you're a phony, quit using us. You're going to weed yourself out. It's a program that's going to demand a way of living that it demands rigorous honesty. And I wasn't going to get honest. Everybody was excited about me being sober. But I'd go to meetings, I'd sit there, and I'd say my name, I'm Stu, I'm an alcoholic. And I didn't mean it no more than the man in the moon. Couldn't wait till those meetings got over with so I could go downtown where the action was and play all the games that drunks play. And because I wasn't willing to pay the price to get sober like we pay a price to get drunk, I didn't get sober. As soon as the heat was off, because I was associating with drinking people and drinking places and drinking things, I drank. My sponsor tried to beat my brains about keeping things simple. He said, if you don't want a haircut, don't hang at a barber shop. You can pray to stay sober, don't go down to the bar and wait for the answer. Don't go on a diet, try to lose weight, and go in a bakery shop and wait and see what happens. And I was associating drinking places, doing drinking things with drinking people, and I drank. When you're wrong, you do as the wronglings do. And the same thing happened after coming to AA that happened before I came to AA. I got drunk. Every time I drank, I got drunk. I drank for respect. I want something to happen. And I got drunk. I came off that drunk. I got in a fight. I broke my fingers. I had a bang on my head, and I spent my money. I was in trouble again. I'm the kind of drunk goes out. I'm always looking for a lot of action. And if I can't find no action, I'm going to make some action. But something's going to happen when I drink. And I got in some action. I came off that drunk. I came home, and I told Nancy, I said, I don't know if I can go to AA again or not. I thought once you took a drink, you sort of got excommunicated out of AA. I didn't know you could get drunk and come back. And she said, no, I think you can go back. And she said, call that guy Larry up and ask him. And I called Larry up and I said, Larry, I said, I got drunk. Can I come back to AA? He said, come on back. And I'll never forget, I went back to that next meeting, and the first thing I did, I told him how sorry I was I let him down. He said, whoa, 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 whoa. He said, you take one look at you and you take one look at me. He said, I'm twice your age. And I look twice as good as you do tonight. And I guarantee you I feel twice as you do tonight, as good as you do tonight. He said, you don't let me down. You didn't let me down when you took a drink. He said, you take a drink, you let yourself down. He said, I'll go to hell for you if you want to stay sober. I'll do anything I can to help you. If you want to take a drink, you go to hell all by yourself. You let yourself down when you take a drink. He said, I'm not going to puke for you. I'm not going to go to jail for you. I'm not going to get strapped down for you. You take a drink, you're going to pay the price. How bad do you want to be sober? If you don't have the want to be sober, you better pray for the want to want. I go, I don't need this. I said, how would I? I went back to drinking. See, you can compare yourself right out of AA if you're not careful. I don't compare my stories with your stories. I listen for similarities. I don't compare my insides with your outsides no longer. I used to do that, and I couldn't stay sober. I listen for identification when you share your stories at the meetings, and I compare myself where I came from and what I used to be like and what I'm like today. So I listen for similarities. You got people sitting in these meetings sometime, and they'll hear a speaker say 99 positive things about staying sober. Well, he might say one negative thing, and that's what they grab hold of. Listen for similarities and not the differences. Number one, I didn't start out, and I didn't set out to be an alcoholic. I was at some kind of a function in Philadelphia a couple of months ago, and they were saying things. I read it in the newspapers about they now can take a human hair and they can test a human hair and decide whether you're going to be an alcoholic or not. And I'm still convinced you got to drink to be an alcoholic. I don't give a damn what anybody says. And I don't think you're born an alcoholic. Now, medical people might want to debate that with me. I don't want to debate you. I got my own personal feelings about it. I just don't think you're born an alcoholic. I think you got to drink to be an alcoholic. I can't picture a doctor coming in May the 21st, 1940 and telling my mother, congratulations, you got a 6-pound, 9-ounce baby alcoholic. You got to drink to be an alcoholic. You can have all the feelings. Well, a lot of people in these meetings have a lot of feelings and things that drunks have. They know about loneliness. Non-alcoholics know about loneliness and feelings and frustrations and inadequacies and all these, but they don't deal with compulsion. They don't deal with this mental obsession. They don't know what it is to need a drink and to take a drink whenever it thinks says, don't drink, and you drink. And that was me. I came from home, there was no drinking, period. I listened to Debbie talking about being one of 7 kids. I think it was her. I'm one of 7 kids. Same thing, 4 sisters, 3 brothers. Every nice family's got to have a black sheep. Peck's bad boy. Got to have one of them a little different than the rest of them. I got cocky when I got my 20-year chip almost 2 years ago and took it down and showed my father. I said, hey, Pop. I said, you know what? I says, 20-year chip. I ain't had a drink in 20 years. He said, hell, your mother ain't had a drink in 70 years. Come back 50 years from now, we'll talk about it. My mother's never drank. My father's had maybe 6 drinks in his whole lifetime. They just don't drink. I've never seen my brothers and sisters in trouble with drinking or drugs. And they start from age 40 on up. My father's 76 years old now. I've never seen them drinking with, none of them in trouble with drinking or drugs. They just don't do it. So I don't know whether I try to make up for the whole damn family or what happened. But I took to drinking like a duck takes the water. Look, let me say, I hear guys in AA say and gals say about doing flaky things when they start drinking. I was doing flaky things before I even started drinking. I was a sitting duck for booze. Had not been booze If it had been 1986, it would have been drugs. It would have been something. I always felt inadequate. I feel like I just could not fit. It never felt like I belonged anywhere. Always living in a fantasy land. Even as a little kid growing up, I used to ice skate a lot. And I'd be down skating all by myself, thinking I'm in the Olympics. I'd be playing basketball by myself, and then I'm counting 3, 2, 1, shoot the winning basket, scoring the winning touch. Always live in a fantasy world. And when I got started drinking, I tried to make those fantasies become a reality. I'd go to dances, I see guys getting dancing. Damn, I wish I could dance like that. Bang! I started drinking. Next thing I'm up there, I'm dancing away. I just think I'm the coolest thing in town. It's sort of like put the wife stove to sleep and sort of open the cage and let this lion out. Came alive. Life became exciting. You still worry. You're always worrying. I'll tell you what's neat about coming to AA. You get answers for all these questions. I used to worry a lot, always worried, and about things I had no control over. Heard a lady in AA one night say, worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. Give you something to do, but it don't get you nowhere. Don't worry about it. I'm convinced everything's going to be okay. So anyway, I'm here, this little, insecure, frustrated, inadequate kid. And next thing you know, I see some of us guys got together. We're going to go to a party, and they said, "Well, let's get some booze." My brother and another kid in the front seat of a car, an old 49 Mercury. I'm in the back seat. I'm the youngest one, 14 years old. They picked up 2 bottles of Madeira port wine. Now we're talking about 1954. It's a long time ago. Well, you know what? I never forget, those 2 bottles of wine cost 72 cents a piece. And that 72 cents did more for me than all the Kool-Aid I ever drank, all the Pepsi-Cola I ever drank, all the ice. It brought me alive. I just went after it. And I love the effect it gave me. Very first time I drank, I got drunk. I got sick. I experienced a blackout. They told me things I said and did, and I couldn't remember. I didn't know what it would. I never drank. I didn't know what it would do. It tastes good. It was sweet, hell. And bingo, it hit me, and I'm saying things I don't remember they told me about. I get sick. I swore to God I would never drink again. But I found something in here that I went back to as often as I could. And I'll tell you what, by the time I was 15 years of age, I became a daily drinker. I didn't get drunk every day, but I drank every day. I had plenty of access to all the booze I needed. I didn't get drunk, but I drank every single day. I loved it. And it was a way of indemnification. And I'll tell you one thing we do about drinking, we lie about it. Beginning, it didn't take much to get me drunk. I split a 6-pack with another guy. I drank 3 beers and got high. Made a fool out of myself. I was at a party. I was on a Friday night at a school basketball game. With school money, people said, "God, you were drunk. How much you drank Friday night?" I said, "Drank a whole case." I wanted to impress them. I couldn't score a touchdown or a basket, but I could drink. I said, "I drank a whole case." They said, "Damn." I lied. I wanted to impress them. 10 years later, I drank a case of beer one night. I got drunk. My wife said, "My God, how much you drank last night?" I said, 3 beers. We lie about it. We lie going in and we lie coming out. We don't lie about how much we eat, how many cigarettes we smoke. I lied about my drinking. And I drank anything, anywhere. I drank for effect. If it was alcohol, I drank it. It didn't matter to me what kind of dress Ethel wore, as long as it was booze, as long as it would do the trick. I got into a lot of trouble in drinking as a young kid. I think back, I can go through school and I can remember my school teachers' names from the 1st grade up to like the 8th grade, and then I started drinking, and I don't remember none of my school teachers' names or nothing because it wasn't important anymore. Drinking was. I got married when I was 17 years of age. I was a senior in high school. Now, most people don't get married at 17 unless 1 or 2 reasons. Either crazy or somebody's pregnant. And me and Nancy, a little bit of both. And we got married, we were 17. We got married April 25th. July 20th, we had a son born. I used to tell everybody he was born 6 months premature. He weighed almost 8 pounds. You know? And I resented that. I hated that. Number one, I didn't want to get married. I was just starting to peak in high school when she told me, we got to get married. And back in 1958, that's the thing you did. No such thing as you've got to get married. But we felt like that's the thing you did back in the 50s. It was an honorable thing to do, and she was a nice girl. She always has been a nice girl. Probably always will be a nice girl. But she just did that. So we got married. I mean, compared to some of them bums I was fooling around with, man, I thought, well, you know, one hand's better than 3 or 4 in a bush here. So anyway, we got married. But I resented it. I figured she stole my youth. Talk about self-centeredness. I heard the smallest package in the world is a man who's wrapped up inside of himself. And I was wrapped up inside of me. I felt so sorry for myself because I got tied down with this responsibility, this kid and everything else, and her, and I had to quit high school and a lot of things. I resented the hell out of it. She got married, not me. I mean, it slowed me down a little bit, probably kept me alive for a while. But I still went out and partied, played games. I put her through a lot of hell, man. Following year, we had another child. I think, good God, 2 kids, 2 years. Suppose I'm married 10 years. And the second child died a couple months later. I thought, geez, I really drank then. I mean, if your kid died, wouldn't you drink too? I felt so guilty. I felt I was such a bum, such a lousy bum, the way of life I was living, that God punished me by taking one of my children away. I think the hardest thing I had to deal with after I got sober was my child's death. I was so sick from drinking. I drank a lot of booze, and I was very sick. And when the child was in the hospital for about 5 weeks, I used to go up and see it all the time. And she had tubes everywhere, and she was very sick. And I was so sick, I was hoping maybe she would die, and then everybody would feel sorry for me. And the sad part about it, she did die, and I couldn't forgive myself. And I used to get drunk. I'd go out to the graveyard. I'd sit in the grave, and I'd cry and cry, and I'd say, why did I have to do this? And that was a tough thing to live with when I was drinking. Every time I started thinking about it, seeing a baby or something, I'd think about what happened there, and I could never tell those feelings to nobody until I got sober in 88, quite a few years. And I had to deal with that. I've never committed a sin too big God couldn't forgive me for. I've had to learn to forgive myself. It takes time. Anyway, I was kind of drunk, you know. I just was very irresponsible. I go to meetings here, people talk about geographical cures. I never took any. They were forced upon me. I didn't pay my rent. I got evicted. Very irresponsible. I grew up in the county, the suburb area. Got in a lot of trouble with the police department down there. I moved to the city. Moved to Baltimore City. I never lived in a city before my whole life. I never lived in a row house. I always lived in an individual home. I moved in these row houses. They call them townhouses now because if you call it a townhouse, you get more money for it instead of a row house. Moved to the city, and I became a user and abuser of society. I moved so damn much, my boss told me to get a post office box. He started changing my address. I moved 8 times in 1 year. I moved twice in 1 week. It's cheaper moving than pay rent. You just keep moving, see? And I lived out of a U-Haul at half the time. I moved from I rented one of these row houses in a ghetto section up there in Baltimore in a low income. I mean, we're talking about a whole house for $17 a week, so you can imagine what you're getting for $17 a week. And that's a 3-bedroom house too, you know. Living room, dining room, and kitchen, full basement, $17 a week. I come home drunk one night. I see a sign in the window across the street, house for rent, $16. I moved across the street to save $1. Stupid thing. I learned the little trick. Your gas and electric would get cut off. You run the extension cord out your kitchen window, down the brick wall, and plug it in, run it through the neighbor's window and plug it in his house, and you keep a refrigerator and a lamp going in the kitchen until you get your gas and electric turned back on. And you just pay the difference on his bill. If his bill is usually $14 a month, it comes in at $21, you pay $7. You work all these angles. People talk about fringe benefits of sobriety. I'll tell you what a fringe benefit for me in sobriety is. It's having a light bulb in every lamp in your house. People take things like that for granted. I don't. Hey, man, I lived in a house, we had 2 light bulbs. We had one in the kitchen, and one in the bedroom. You got to go to the bathroom, you take it out of the bedroom, put it in the bathroom. You get done in the bathroom, you take it out of the bathroom, put it in the bedroom. A simple thing like a light bulb. The benefit of sobriety is everybody drinks out of the same kind of glass. One kid's drinking out of Budweiser glass, he's drinking out of a National glass, he's drinking out of Gunther's glass. I just got drinking, nothing's happening, so I wouldn't wait to finish the drink, I'd just take the drink with me. Next thing I got all these bottles and glasses in my car or something, you know. Dishes. I want a set of dishes. You ever see these claw machines you have in a bar room? You run these handles around and the thing comes out like this. And you pick up the penknife and you get a gift. I want a set of dishes out of that one time. We ate out of these dishes for a long time. And we lived like that. People talk about going surf fishing. Hell, in my neighborhood, they went rat fishing. They sat on the back porch with a riding reel, put a piece of cheese on the hook, and throw it in the alley and catch a rat. I mean, that's the neighborhoods I lived in. So don't tell me you can't come from there and get where you want to be. I've been there, man. I know what it's all about. I've been down there. I get drinking, and I get irresponsible, and I get mouthy, and I get out there, and I get involved in a lot of action. And next thing you know, I'm being locked up. I was in a bar one night, and 2 guys said, I got in a fight, an argument over a shuffleboard game. These 2 guys I'm arguing with, they said, look, we're police officers. They whip their wallets out. They show me this. I said, hell, I know guys got these things. I worked on the waterfront, so I knew. I worked in a factory, and I did stevedore work on the waterfront. I knew guys down had these things, badges and all. They said, no, these are for real. Well, next thing you know, I saw bull crap, and a fight breaks out. I'm being locked up for assaulting police officers, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, verbal assault, which means you got a filthy mouth. I got a disorderly conduct in jail, being booked. I was just crazy. Very irresponsible. And that's basically where I was fascinated with that, all that junk out there, all the action. And when I got sober, I sort of didn't miss the drinking as much as sometimes I missed the action. I was like a moth drawn to a flame. I remember going to my first meeting. I'd ride down the road, and I lost my license, so I was riding buses. And I'd ride by a bar, and I'd see these cars outside. I wonder what's going on the inside. I sort of missed that action when I first came to AA. That action damn near killed me. Get all the action you want right in Alcoholics Anonymous. Anyway, I ended up in a lot of trouble. I drank a lot. I got in a lot of trouble like most drunks do, and I ended up in a situation in 1964, like I told you, I went to AA the first time. I ended up in a church. Now, I hadn't been to a church except when I was 17, when I got married, in 19 when we buried my daughter, and here it is, I'm 23, and I ended up in a church. And I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about suicide. I can't stand myself. A lot of people can't stand me, but now I can't stand me. And I talked to this little minister. I never knew who he was. I'd never been in that church. I just needed to talk to somebody that day because I was thinking I'm going to really do something stupid here. I was thinking about suicide. I couldn't stand it. Life was so damn painful. My family was ashamed of me. My parents didn't want to see me. They raised all these nice kids, and they got one punk drunk that turns out like me, and I'm causing them a lot of trouble and a lot of grief, a lot of heartache. They worked hard to get a nice reputation, and here I am. I'm coming and screwing up the whole works. And I talked to this little preacher. He said, I don't know what I can do to help you. He said, the big thing right now, he said, you're drunk. He said, you got a lot of problems. Right now you're drunk. You need to get sober. And he said, I got a member of my congregation who's a member of AA. Maybe he can help you. So I found myself going to my first AA meeting. It doesn't matter how you get here. The most important thing is you get here. And then stay here. It's so important to stay. See, everybody goes out and gets drunk, don't get back. And I never heard a drunk or a guy or gal in AA who came and said they were an alcoholic. I never heard of one of them go out the doors and take a drink and come back and say, gee, it's fantastic out there. Gee, it's really good. I never hear success stories of practicing alcoholics. I hear nothing but tragedy, tragedy, tragedy. If you think it's bad now, take another drink and you ain't seen nothing yet. And my world was bad enough when I first came to AA, and all I can tell you is when I went back to drinking, it got worse. In November 1964, after I went to AA for a few months, in say February, March of 64, I went back to drinking, and November 64, I was on a drunk, and I was on a real good drunk. And I'm the kind of drunk, when I get on a drunk, I get on a drunk. And when I start drinking, that's all I want to do. Unpredictable behavior. Anything you predict about, it's going to be something bad news is going to happen sooner or later. I tell my wife, I say, I'll be back in a couple hours. I get out and I start drinking, get hooked up with some guys and gals. They say, let's go down the ocean when the bar closes. I said, sounds good to me. And down we go. Don't go home that night. Next morning we're drinking. I'm thinking, oh my God, I didn't go home last night. She is going to raise hell. Then I get thinking, which is terrible, bad news for drunks. When we start thinking, our thinking damn near killed us, so we let our sponsors think for us when we come in AA. I get thinking, well, you know what? I ain't going home to hell with her. You can catch just as much hell for being 2 days late as one. And then the second day goes by, I say, well, let's make it 3. And then you're afraid to go home. I'm twice her size, I weigh about 100 pounds. And then I'm afraid to go home. Next thing you know, it's 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Finally go home. And before it's all over with, when I get home, I got her convinced it's her fault. If you would have just ironed my blue pants, none of this would have happened. See, before I left, I got in a fight with her. I looked in the hamper, I saw my blue pants. She didn't wash them that day. I only had 2 pair of pants, blue and brown. She didn't wash my blue pants. I looked in there and I said, you don't do nothing all day. I ask you to wash 1 pair of blue pants, and you don't do it. And why do you think, what do you think I drank for? I'm out working all day. I ask you to wash 1 pair of pants, and next thing you know, she's apologizing to me, and I've been gone for 6 weeks. Wonder why she needed Al-Anon? But that's the kind of guy I was. So I go back to drinking. Here it is, November 1964. I'm on a bad drunk, and I end up in a lot of trouble when I'm drunk, and I come home. And at that time, I got into a lot of trouble in the city, had moved back to the county. And we were living in an abandoned summer home. People in the city had a couple extra dollars to buy a summer home down off the shore, and we would move into it in the fall and board up the windows by the water, put a kerosene stove in there, and we were living there for the winter. And I was living in that summer home with her and my 2 kids. I came home that night, and I just went berserk in that house. I ran my fist through the windows that were on the front and the side of the house, the walls, and I was trying to put I came out of this thing. They talk about this manna porch or what the hell it was, but anyway, I came out of this thing. I was on the front porch, and I came out of this thing. My father, her father, and I think it was a fireman or police officer was sitting on top of me, holding me down, and he had put a pillow under my head. I had been trying to put my head to a concrete porch, and it was all busted open. I found myself that night in an emergency room in Annapolis General Hospital. 2 doctors working on me. My wrists were all slashed up from going through windows and everything. And they said, we got to get this guy out of society because if he doesn't kill himself, he's going to kill somebody else. And they sedated me and they sewed me up. Next day they had me examined by a private doctor, a family doctor, Dr. Hahn. And he said, your problem is you're drinking. Can't you stop drinking? You're only 24 years old. I said, no. In fact, I want to drink now. And I found myself committed to a locked ward of a state mental institution. I spent about 6 weeks in there. I didn't know that all I had to do was sign a form and I could have walked out the door in 7 days. But I thought I was committed for life. And I was in there long enough to just get some pressure off and played the games with psychiatrists and, You go through all that mental group therapy. We did square dancing for therapy with the nurses, and we made little ceramic ashtrays and little wallets and crazy things. And what really got me mad was if you made these ceramic ashtrays, you had to pay for the little tiles that you used. And I said, hell, I didn't come down here to pay for this stuff. Pay for your little leather and your stuff you make the stitching with. And they put all the nut women in with all the nut men, and they let us dance for therapy. And I got my wrists are all taped up. I'm dancing with some woman. She said, "Oh, you try to commit suicide, huh?" I said, "No." I said, "What are you in here for?" She said, "I killed my husband." And it's just stupid. I come out of there. So anyway, I escape out of there. I escape out of a state mental institution, all locked doors, locked windows and everything. We had a couple little crazy kids in there with us, and they knew how to make keys out of springs of the mattress that would unlock the metal windows. I escaped out of there the day before New Year's. And I worked my way home. I felt like a fugitive. I mean, what the hell people care about one crazy drunk in a nut house? But I felt like a fugitive, you know what I mean? Crawling through the woods and the spotlights and everything. And next thing you know, I get home, and it's New Year's Eve, and we got to go to a party. Now, I don't know if this has ever happened with anybody else in here, but I came out of that nut house convinced that I was a whiskey alcoholic. I don't know whether I had Indian in me or what, but I knew when I drank whiskey, I went crazy. I'll just drink beer. I was 6'2", and I weighed almost 265 pounds. I was like a big bull. I used to pride myself younger. I used to work out a lot and keep myself in shape, and even when I was drinking, I'd work out some. And I remember one night I was in a bar, I always wanted to throw a guy through a window. Seeing it on television looked neat. I remember one night I was in a bar and I got in a fight with this guy, and I got a crotch hold on him, I got him on the shoulder, and I got him, and I'm heading for the window. I could just see this on television, and here I'm going running, I'm going to throw him right through this big plate glass window, but he decides he doesn't want to go. He turns his head and locks it in my shoulder, bites me in the shoulder. Now I got this guy on my shoulder. I don't know what to do with this damn guy. I had to take him over very gracefully, lay him on a pool table, pick up a pool ball and bang him on his head and get him the hell off my shoulder. That's the kind of guy I was. See? So they want to go to a party, and I get there, and Nancy's one of 10 kids, and they're all alcoholics. They all drink a lot. And they all feel sorry for Stu because he just come home from nut house. And he's a whiskey alcoholic, but he can drink beer. And I got drunk on beer. You just blow up more. You ever drink so much beer and nothing's happening? You drink so much beer and you're standing there and you can't get it down. You don't want to spit it out. But you're staying there a while and pretty soon it'll go down. And it would just blow me up like a great big frog. 265 pounds sitting there, a 19-inch neck, just big frog. And I'd sit there, and you know what? I'd be sitting under them blue lights, and I'd think how nice I looked. I didn't look like I weighed 265 pounds, and I just knew that someone's going to come here and discover me and make a movie star out of me or something. We sitting there looking in mirrors, the more we drink, the better looking we get, and we look good under pink lights and blue lights, and we sort of set ourselves in a position where we can look in the mirror just right, and just crazy, just crazy. Played a jukebox, J9, Mr. Lonely, Pretty Woman. Play it over and over and over again. Then someone says, "Grace, don't you know another song besides J9?" And then you're going to fight him over the jukebox. spend money you don't have. I sat there and I got involved with loan sharks. I borrowed $5 this week, paying back $6 Friday, and then buy them drinks with their own money. Stupid. So I end up drinking that night. I got drunk. Same thing happens. The only thing I tell you is it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. It never gets any better. If you're an alcoholic, the more you drink, it never gets better. Finally, I came back to AA because I didn't know where else to go. I didn't know where else to go. And I'll tell you what's neat about coming back to AA. No one gave me a hard time when I came back. No one says, well, here he comes, old punk drunk. Had enough yet, kid? They all put their hand out and said, welcome back. My sponsor introduced me to tough love. I'll tell you what tough love is. It's not embarrassing another person in front of a group of people. It's not making him look small by saying, pick up your ashtrays, set up his chairs, set up front, shut up and listen. Tough love is being truthful, being honest. Tough love is when you have the ability to sit down and be honest with someone and you're concerned with saving the life and not the feelings. And he introduced me to tough love. He was concerned with saving my life because he said, that's what's going to happen if you drink again. You're not going to get high. You're not going to be funny. You're not going to get a little sick. You're going to die. And I'm convinced if I drink again, I'm going to die. I'm also convinced I'll tell you how bad I want to be sober. If there's 200 people in this room and 199 of them's got to get drunk, I hope you all make it back. Okay? I ain't drinking. I don't care what happens. I ain't drinking, period. And I know I got a disease that needs to be treated every single day. I don't have it made. But I want to be sober more today than I've ever wanted to be sober in my whole life. Because I got more to lose today than I've ever had to lose in my whole life. So I came back and I joined AA. All else fails, follow directions. You're going to see two powerful examples in Alcoholics Anonymous. You're going to see people who stay sober, and you're going to see people who don't stay sober. Monkey see, monkey do. A friend of mine says you can either soar with the eagles or run with the turkeys. Make up your mind what the hell you want to do. And I hooked myself up to some sober stars. And what I mean by that is guys and gals who are staying sober. And not only were they staying sober, but they were enjoying sobriety. They didn't look at AA as an endurance contest. You come in and bite the damn bullet. Can't drink no more. Some days you just hang in there, but if you're around here a long time and you're still just hanging in there, you may be hanging on the wrong thing. AA is more than a hang-in-there program. It's a stop drinking, start living program. My drinking problem stopped when I stopped drinking. I've been dealing with living problems since I've been in AA. I got me a sponsor, a sober sponsor, in Alcoholics Anonymous who goes to meetings and walks like he talks. He didn't tell me how to get sober. He showed me how to get sober. He spoon-fed me AA. He explained the steps to me. I said, when should I start working these steps? He said, when do you want to get well? I was in AA a short time. I won a big book at a raffle, at a group. I said, Dad, look at that, I got a big book. He said, big deal. Big deal, you got a big book. He said, you're sober 2 weeks in AA, run around telling everybody you got a big book. He said, look, put the book down. He said, number one, you're not going to read it. You just want to tell everybody you got a big book. If you read it, you ain't going to understand what the hell it says. And if you understand what it says, you ain't going to do what it tells you to do anyway. So just put it down and go to meetings and talk with drunks. And listen. God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. He wants you to listen twice as much as he wants you to talk. Listen. My sponsor also, he was one of these guys who broke me in to sit on the front row. Now sometimes you can't get in the front row because it's already taken on. You have to sit in the back row. But it's not out of choice for most of us. I've been sitting in this front row all weekend. I wanted to sit in the back row when I came to my first meeting. He said, what are you doing back here? I said, I'm going to sit back here. He said, I'll tell you what, I've never met you before until you came to AA. But I bet you at school you sit in the back row. We call it Dummy's Row. You sit back there and you carved initials on the desk. You threw paper wise and you wrote answers of tests on your sleeves and up your sleeve, and you cheated, you snuck out of class and smoked cigarettes, and you just got by the skin of your teeth. And the little brownie sat up front, little sissies, brought the apple to the teacher and raised their hand. And he said, you got a problem and you're sitting in the front row. There's a lot of people you can put between you and that door before you walk out of here. Don't never walk out of a meeting with a problem you walk in with. The answers are here. Talk about raising hands. I was meeting one night and they said, anybody got a question? I said, me. They said, what's your question? I said, why me? Why the hell do I have to be an alcoholic? I can think of a lot of things that I'd rather be instead of an alcoholic. I'd rather be a lawyer, like Tom here. I'd rather be a doctor, football player, boxer, anything. Why a damn alcoholic? Man, I'll tell you what, there was a man there by the name of Jay Miller. This is 21 and a half years ago or more, almost 22 years ago. Man, they banged my tail around that meeting, and when they got finished the meeting, they said, why not you? What the hell's so great about you? You can't be an alcoholic. And Jay Miller was there, and Jay was an old-timer in AA, died sober. He showed us how to live, and he showed us how to die sober. Had cancer of the face. He said, look, there's all forms of cancer. Some people have it, and they can be arrested or be treated, and they can go and live a very productive life. He said, I got the kind of cancer I can't do nothing about. I got a disease I can't do nothing about, and that disease has made a decision that I'm going to die early, prematurely. I'm going to die because of a disease. He said, you don't have the disease that's going to tell you got to die. You got a disease that all you got to do is stop drinking and start living. Thank God if you got to have a disease, it's alcoholism. And you can do something about it if you want to. And if you don't want to, see you later. A lot of people need this program. It's going to work for the guy. It's going to work for the guy or gal who wants it. You got to want it. You don't want it, pray for the want to want it. I joined a home group. I said, put my name on the book. I got active in the group. I became a member of Alcoholics Anonymous in good thing. I got active in AA. And because I got sober at the age of 25, there wasn't many other young drunks staying sober in AA. So I work with a lot of young people in AA. As soon as a young guy come in, they stick him on me. They say, Stu, work with this guy. I guarantee you by my third year in Alcoholics Anonymous, I must have sponsored 100 young drunks in Alcoholics Anonymous. By my third anniversary, I sponsored over 100 of them. When a damn one of them sober. None of them were sober. I was trying to get them sober through the grace of Stu. Instead of letting them get sober through the grace of God. I was trying to give them something I didn't have. I was denying them an opportunity to grow at their own pace. I was trying to do things for them that they should have been doing for themselves. I'll tell you what, the minute I let go, I started working with some people, and I decided if they get sober, it's going to be through the grace of God and Alcoholics Anonymous. They started getting sober. I'll tell you what's neat in Alcoholics Anonymous, or what's weird in Alcoholics Anonymous now. I'm going through a couple personal things, so I'm working with some new drunks. I find anytime you go through difficult times, grab a couple of drunks and work with them. Get you out of yourself. When I first came, I worked with young drunks. I'd take a meeting and say, where's all the young alcoholics at? And see, 20 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of them around. If they didn't stay around. Mostly older people in AA. Well, I got two old guys in their 60s now I'm working with. And I take them to meetings, they say, where the hell's all the old people at? I see all these young drunks in AA. We started a young people's group in 1966 called the Under 35 group in Baltimore. We just had our 21st anniversary in November for the indemnification. I don't really think there's a need for it today in AA because there's so many young ones, but we did it. I'm watching in my area now starting groups for over 50 group, predominantly geared toward older people. Just fascinating what's happened in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was kidding some people at lunchtime. I said, between Washington and Baltimore, we have over 2,500 meetings a week. Unbelievable. So I joined AA. I got involved in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was in AA a short time and someone said, hey, you got to go to New York. Bill Wilson's got an anniversary coming up. I said, who the hell's Bill Wilson? They said, you got to go. He's having an anniversary. And the old man he was one of the co-founders of AA. The last one's living. Dr. Bob's dead. And you go up there and you thank him for letting God use him as an instrument to start this big miracle that you're a part of. You shake his hand and thank him. I said, you got to be kidding. They said, no. November, went to New York, went to his anniversary, shook his hand, thanked him for letting God use him as an instrument to find the program that saved my life. And he didn't say go home and work the third step or the fifth step. He said pass it on. And that's what we do at meetings. We just keep passing it on. That's what I'm doing here tonight, just passing on what's been given to me. I found this program will meet me at the level of my needs. It's easy when it's easy, but it ain't always going to be easy. If you do the possible, God will do the impossible. This program will work under any condition. It works when the rain comes, it works when the sun shines. It will work if you work for it. But I got active in AA. I got very involved in AA. I remember I was in AA a short time. I was in AA maybe a couple of years. My little girl started the first grade of school. Never forget the first day she went to school. She went to school and she came home. I said, Dawn, how did you make out in school today? She said, not too good. I got to go back again tomorrow. AA is the same way. We're going to come here and we ain't going to make out too good today. We got to go back and come back again tomorrow and just keep coming back. Any need that we hear in AA, keep coming back. I never heard those words, so I came in AA. Always get the hell out of here. Don't come back. What are you doing here? I threw you out last night. Told you don't ever come here no more. They say we'll love you till you learn to love yourself. You get a whole new vocabulary when you get sober. You learn to say new words you never used before, at least I never used before in my whole life. Big words like excuse me, thank you, please, I'm sorry. You ever notice we're on our best behavior at meetings? Oh, John, I'm sorry I spilled coffee on you. John, I'm so really sorry. I cleaned it up. I'm really apologetic. The problem's not in here. The problem's out there. How do you live out there? It's easy at the meetings. But you can't stay in a meeting forever. How do you do it outside of meetings? Well, you take what you hear and out there and you put it out there. You put it into practice out there in the street, the mainstream where you live, out on the sidewalk of life. And I found out if I got the chip off my shoulder and I started treating the world with a better attitude, I found out it was amazing how they treated me back. I love going to meetings because it gives me some positive input. I usually go to meetings to get a lot of positive input. My home group is the Roundup Park Early Birds meeting. We meet at 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday and Friday. Positive input. It's an unstructured meeting where we just pick a topic and we talk about it. I mean, you go in a room tonight, you turn on the TV and you watch the news, all you're going to hear is bad news. Bad news. Pick up a newspaper, you can read nothing but bad news. You do deal with most of the public out there, and they're going to complain, they're going to gripe, and it's going to be bad news. Everything's negative. I come in AA and he said, nothing can be so bad a drink's going to make it any better. We can do together what you and I can't do alone. We can get sober, we can stay sober. Anyway, back to that thing, I went to Bill Wilson's anniversary. I'll tell you, I went back 3 more years before he died. I love it. I want to be a part of it. I'll never forget the first time I was asked to go speak somewhere. I told my sponsor, I said, hell, I'm not a public speaker. He said, they didn't invite you because you were a public speaker. They invited you because you were a public drunk. Okay? And you're going there to help yourself. I chaired a meeting one time. A guy said, how do you think your meeting was? I said, I really think I helped them. He said, what the hell are you talking about? You helped them. You don't chair meetings to help them. You do it to help yourself. When you get a meeting, sure, you hope someone can identify and you can pass something on that's been given to you very freely. It's a gift. But you do it to help yourself. Me standing here tonight's been good for me because it gives me a chance to look in my rearview mirror and see where I came from. Life can be good. But I've seen guys a lot more sobriety than me take a drink. I had a member of our board of trustees with 27 years sobriety took a drink years ago down in Blackstone. Had a friend of mine last year with 21 years sobriety, got sober when I did, took a drink. I was in Philadelphia, met a man with 32 years that took a drink. You don't have it made. It's just for today. That's all. It's just for today. I didn't know what drink it was that got me drunk until I came to AA. I always thought it was a 15th drink, third six-pack, second fifth. My sponsor said, the first drink that gets you drunk. I said, I heard that in meeting. I thought that's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. I never got drunk on one drink in my whole life, unless I was drinking out of a damn gallon glass or something. How do you get drunk on one drink? That's a either they're sissies and don't know how to drink. I said, it's so stupid to get. How do you get drunk on one drink? It took me a lot of drinks to get drunk. My sponsor, come home with me tonight after the meeting. Went to his house. He had went out in the wood shop. He had a buzz saw. It was a saw that had a handle on it with a sharp blade with a lot of sharp points on it, and you use it for ripping wood. He went, turn that thing on. He says, if I turn this on and you bend over and I ram you in your tail, what tooth do you think is going to do the most damage? He says, the first one. If you don't take the first drink, you can't take the 13th or 15th or the third six-pack or the second fifth. It's the first drink that's going to get you drunk. It's physically impossible to get drunk if you don't drink alcohol, but you won't get drunk if you physically don't drink alcohol. And the best part about it, you don't have to stop drinking the rest of your life. You only got to do it just for today. I got sober when I was 25. I got thinking, good God, suppose I lived to be 75 years old. 50 years without a drink. How am I going to stay sober 50 years? He said, a day at a time. You do it a day at a time. You don't have to stay sober for 6 months or a year or 50. You just stay sober today, that's all. If today's too long, break it down to a half a day. If that's too long, break it down for 1 hour. If that's too bad, break it down for right now. You don't drink now. That's all it is. And you do it just for today. I've never seen, they got these signs at meetings, I've never seen just for tomorrow, 2 days at a time. It's the simple things, just for today, 1 day at a time. Easy does it. I was at a meeting one night, I said, see the guy over here, I told my sponsor he's going to 2 meetings a week. He said, so what? NYOB. Mind your own business. None of your damn, you ain't no AA cop. And none of your business what anybody else in AA is doing. You got a full-time job with Stu. Learn to mind your own business. If you can't say something to help somebody, don't say nothing to hurt them. If you can't say nothing kind, then keep your mouth shut. When you look down at another drunk, make sure you're looking down to reach your hand out to pick him up and not to put him down. Anyway, we're out of just about out of time. I just want to share a couple things. But life has been exciting for me. I'm one of these guys who's enthused with being sober. I love being sober. And I love Alcoholics Anonymous. Last time I spoke was in November at a meeting, except for little discussion meetings I go to. I don't need to speak to stay sober. It's an opportunity, it's a privilege. That anytime you walk up to a podium, share your story with, and hope that someone else can identify with it. The greatest gift I've been given is the opportunity to just be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. To be able to sit in these chairs and know I belong here. And that if I can't make it here, I don't know where I'm going to make it. That I'm surrounded with people who really care about me. I'm not an Alcoholics Anonymous win a popularity contest. I pay my own bills. No one in AA pays my bills. But I need you sharing with me to stay sober. I watched my kids grow up in this program called Alcoholics Anonymous. My daughter's now 25, my son's 29. I got 4 grandchildren, from age 11 down to 4. My son was a chip off the old block. I started young. I used to live in the ghettos. Last year I moved into a neighborhood I never thought I could live into. bought a nice house in a little development called Savannah Park. Down there, they say instead of AA. I never thought I'd live in a place like this, nice fireplace in a house, and we're sitting in that house, and Nancy and I thought that house would really help us a lot, and it's been nice, but we're sitting there, we're in there about a month. I said, "Boy, you say we go down to the restaurant and get a little bite to eat." So we go down to this restaurant, we're sitting there, we're eating dinner, I'm looking around, I'm smiling. She said, "What are you smiling about?" I said, "How I robbed this place one time." I mean, I was a punk drunk 17 carrying a 32 with me and hooked up with some guys. I'd DA haircut with it slicked back in the tail and collar turned up. Punk. Used to go to this neighborhood I moved in and beat up all the little kids with button-down collar shirts and crew cuts and buckles on the back of their pants. And we used to wear pointy-toe shoes. And now I'm living in this neighborhood. It's amazing where you can come from and where you can go to. I went back, finished my education. When I got sober, I worked in a factory. I worked at waterfronts. I worked stevedore work. I worked as a welder. I loaded box cars. Started going to school. I ended up getting a real estate license, getting insurance license and broker's license, and own my own agency now. And I'm not bragging about it. I'm bragging about Alcoholics Anonymous. I made more money since I've been sober than I've made my whole lifetime. I've done things in my life I never thought I could do. I came in, had a speech impediment. I used to talk, I had a lisp and a stutter. And they said, time will take care of that probably. I talk fast, keep from stuttering. Sometimes I go deep south and I share at the meeting, they take me in 45, play back at 33 and the third and see what the hell I say. Remember, guys, talk fast, think fast. But it's just something that happens. I find it's just natural. But I've done better in those kind of areas in my life than I ever thought I could ever do. I was sober 14 years in AA, made some bad investments, made a decision to get into real estate when everybody was getting out. Thought I could get in, it would break. I was going to make a lot of money. Anything went broke was me. Here I was broke in AA with 14 years of sobriety, and all my friends were doing very well. I remember I used to go to the store, and we'd buy these nice steaks, and I'd look down those steaks, and I'd say, well, I'll get you next week and go buy a pound of liver. And it was a good experience for me. I found anything I've gone through in sobriety that's been painful, sometimes it is God writing straight using crooked letters. There's good lessons can be learned in everything. I heard a speaker when I say it's the seemingly bad things that's so necessary for a spiritual growth. I've never experienced anything in AA that I haven't came out of it by staying sober and being patient and working my way through it, having came out of it a better person. Sometimes we got to go back and get a little humility lesson. Sometimes we get sober and get a little self-righteous, a little uppity. Forget where we come from. We get a little complacent. We start resting on our laurels. We've got to go back and take a refresher course and get a little humility maybe. And I've had these lessons. A friend of mine, I was looking at geese out there, he said, you're a bramble goose. I said, what the hell is a bramble goose? And he said, when you got in real estate, everybody was getting out. He said, ever see a flock of geese in the fall, they're flying south in a big V? One damn dumb goose is going north. In the springtime, they're going north and he's going south. Everybody got out of real estate and you got into it and you lost everything. I lost everything. We lost our home, everything. I had friends of mine that felt sorry for us or feeding us. I had a buddy of mine who sold food for Gumpers. It's that food he pre-mixed and you sell it for restaurants and cafeterias and all. And we were eating stuff out of that and we just had to regroup and start all over again. So I know what it is to do very well in sobriety financially. I know what it is to be poor in sobriety. But you don't have to take a drink over neither one of them. A drink is no longer a solution. Anyway, this year a lot of things have been happening. We left North Carolina and it's probably the first time I've talked about it. It is the first time I've talked. Anyway, Nancy and I have been having some problems and we decided We're out there talking with my sponsor and my kids and et cetera, that we took a voluntary separation from each other. We've been married a long time, and I've been sober almost 22 years. I'm going through this now, and it's not a very pleasant thing. I mean, everything's going to be okay. And people saying, how the hell can that happen? Well, they didn't get a cherry. I'm not the first time it's ever happened to anybody in AA, and I won't be the last guy it happens to in AA, but it's happening, and I've got to deal with it day at a time. But we agreed to a voluntary separation, and I moved out of the house, and she stayed in there, and I moved in with a friend of mine in AA who's 71 years of age. He's like a father to me almost, and I've jumped back in AA and kept myself busy. I've got myself busy in my work, and grabbed a couple of drunks and worked with them, and I'm going to work my way through this thing and see where it takes us, a day at a time. We sat down, we got a lawyer friend of ours, and we wrote out a 2-year negotiation that a volunteer separation, neither one of us would do anything stupid for 2 years, and give ourselves some time and see where it all takes us. And we're going to put that in God's hands. But meanwhile, I got to stay sober. It's been very difficult for a lot of our friends. They've had to go through things like choosing sides, and you're going to go through some gossip. And people will say, is this what sobriety is all about? You stay sober 22 years, you're married almost 30 years, you're going through a separation. What the hell is this? What kind of hope do we have here for new people to think things like that? And all I'm saying, it doesn't have to happen to you. It could. If it does, I'm staying sober, and you can stay sober. I'm not the first person. I won't be the last. It's a growing experience. I'll see where it takes us. Nancy's dove into Al-Anon. She's getting a lot of love and a lot of support from her Al-Anon friends. My sponsor never turned his back on me. He said, you need me now more than you've ever needed me. I've seen other people go through similar situations, difficult times, after periods of sobriety, and people would just back off from them. My home group has been very supportive of me. They're concerned with me staying sober, not my personal life. They don't come up and say what's going on or tell me the dirty the gossip or the nitty-gritty part of it. They say just keep coming back. Hang with it. You want to get a cup of coffee? They're there. They're very supportive, and without digging into my personal life. And this too shall pass, and you're going to be okay. And that's a good feeling. I have a friend of mine who's going through a similar situation, and their sponsor said, we don't want nothing to do with you. Conditional relationships. I'll love you if. Well, I've got myself surrounded by a bunch of people who just love me for being me. If someone don't know how to deal with it, so they back off, and I think that's great. Stick with AA. So I had mixed emotions and mixed feelings about coming here and sharing this weekend because of what went through. We separated January the 2nd. We just want to try to get through the holidays because of the kids and the grandchildren and everything else, and just try to make it. And we did. And so I've just been keeping busy and just seeing where it takes me. Our children have been very supportive of both of us. I see my daughter like 3 times a week, have lunch with her at least twice, once every 2 weeks. And they said, Mom, Dad, we think this is the best thing right now. And let's give it some time. And I know everything's going to be okay. And so when Al called me back home, I thought, well, maybe I should just keep on listening for a while, and that's what I've been doing. I thought, no, maybe there's a reason I should be here. Maybe somebody's got to hear that in this meeting tonight. See, I may never pass this way again. And I've had people in this room touch me since I've been here, share with me. It's been very, very good for me. I'm getting things I need. And I just want to thank you for being here and let me come here and share my life with you. And if you get down my area, my phone number is, I moved 1 mile from my house. This old man lives 1 mile from my, it's actually 9/10 of a mile from my house. And we had 2 telephone numbers. Nancy kept the old one, her number, the 6, and I kept the 5 number. Kept the same numbers. I sort of like to stay away from meetings where she goes. She stays away from where I go, and we're still going to meetings, though, doing our thing. And so this program will meet you at the level of your needs. It will work for you when you're going through difficult times as well as the good times. It is easy when it's easy. But it's not always going to be easy. I've worked with guys who've gone through deaths, lost their spouses, lost their children. They stay sober. So if nothing else, you can keep praying for me, pray for Nancy. There's not a finer woman than her in this whole world. It's just a shame that things ain't working out, but it's going to be okay. But I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come here and just share with you. And for you loving me when I really needed that bad. Thank you.